Hi, my name's Joni Patry and welcome to my YouTube channel. Now we're here looking at the very last week of May. We're going to be looking at May 22nd through the 31st. What can you expect based on the daily aspects from the moon? And remember, I am talking about the Central Standard Time is where I am making my predictions. So you must make your adjustments in accordance to where you are located relative to Central Standard Time. Now remember, the moon is the planet that moves the quickest. It moves 1 degree every 2.5 hours. So I'm going to be making many references to the moon and any other big aspects that may be occurring in this last week of May. So remember to sign up for my free newsletter. Go to my website, galacticcenter.org, and you can get all of my predictions delivered to your email address every week. And also look at my Patreon page. It's amazing. You will become part of a spiritual community. And one more thing, what's about to come out is my new Galactic Planner, where you can have all of your personal aspects delivered to your email address and put into your calendar. This is all up and coming. Now let me talk about the last week of May. It is critical what is going on this week. So I'm starting with May 22nd, and the moon will be in Libra most all of the day, but by the time around nighttime, when the sun goes down, we're going to start having the moon in Scorpio, which is its debilitation sign. But for the most part, it's in Libra all day, and it is opposed Uranus. So this means major unexpected changes will be happening, especially on an emotional front. You might be thinking that you want something a certain way, and all of a sudden you change your mind, and it's just not like you. But that's the energy of Uranus aspecting the moon. And the moon being in Libra, it is ruled by Venus, and we've got Venus in planetary war with Jupiter, and it's getting close to the sun. So everything's kind of out of balance, even though Libra is the sign that we think of when we think of balance. Everything's kind of going into turmoil. Now, the moon is in the nakshatra Vishaka. Vishaka is the nakshatra that means the undefeated. Its symbol is a triumphal archway, which means triumph, courage, getting the job done. So this moon gives us a little traction, although I don't like the fact that from the moon we have Venus, Jupiter, and Sun all in the 8th house, which can make things a little difficult. It means there's this deep retreat into trying to understand what's going on in our lives and the world. And the Mars Rahu, which are critical, are in the 6th house from the moon. So be careful of accidents. Be careful what you're doing so that you can be on the safe side. Don't be impulsive or impatient today. May 23rd, the moon will be in Scorpio all day, and this moon is debilitated in Scorpio. It's weakened, but this is also the day of what? The full moon. So things come into fruition and come into full bloom during the full moon. So this is interesting. We have the full moon, but it is in Scorpio and the moon is debilitated. And actually on this day, we have Jupiter and Venus the same degree. So they're in planetary war. They don't produce good effects in this case. But I will say this full moon, it's going to be about relationships, trying to make things work in relationships, because that's what the full moon's about. And the sun is close to Jupiter and Venus even though they're kind of burnt by the sun. But this represents being 7th from the moon, that it's a day working on your personal relationships. Won't be easy, I gotta say, because things aren't clear at this time. But still, this is what this day is good for. And when I look at the Mars, Rahu, Neptune, they go to the 5th house from the moon. So the 5th house can deal with ideas. Now, it's not a good day for investments, I gotta say that, but it is a good day for new ideas and striking out on your own, coming up with new creative ventures and things of that nature. May 24th, this is after the full moon, so now we have the waning moon for the next 2 weeks, but it is in Scorpio, and it is in the nakshatra called Jyeshta. And Jyeshta is a very difficult nakshatra. It deals a lot with jealousy. And usually, I must say, it's jealousy coming from other people. Now, because we're looking at the full moon and we have the Jupiter, Venus, Sun opposite the moon, this will deal with relationships. So be aware that your partner may have some issues and problems with jealousy. It's okay. You've got to really work these things out. And I do think, you know, through understanding and good communication, but, you know, be careful choosing your words, because there is deep jealousy that will come out at you, whether it's your partner or business partner or just friends. That's what Jyeshta does. So Saturn is in the 4th house from the moon. You may find that there's issues and problems around the house, or either with your mother. Work this out. You've got to look deep into this. And looking at the Mars and Rahu in the 5th house from the moon, I got to say that there's something going on that you're trying to figure out in terms of your creative process. Now, if you have children, be aware, be on the lookout. They'll be acting out. There can be some problems there. Now, yes, that's all I got to say. And one more thing, K2 being in the 11th house from where the moon is can represent a loss of friendship. Maybe this is through the jealousy. So May 25th, we have Mars, and this is probably for the 25th of May plus the 26th of May. But Mars will have crossed, or is crossing over, the previous eclipse degree, which was 25 degrees of Pisces. This is a landmine. There can be some explosive events today that can be of violence, warlike, major problems in the world. And be cautious, be aware. So the moon being in Sagittarius means we want to find the truth. Things must come out that are truth and factual, where everything is about finding truth. Now, the moon is in the nakshatra called Mula. And Mula is the nakshatra that can deal with destruction. It's ruled by the goddess Nriti, which is the goddess of destruction. And what this can actually mean is something very destructive is happening on the forefront because of this eclipse degree that's being activated. Something big is happening. And Venus is approaching the sun, so Venus is almost combust, so Venus doesn't give us the help that we need, but Jupiter is increasing bit by bit with strength in Taurus, because the sun is moving away. It's not so combust. But another thing I might add, Mars Rahu is going to be 4th from the moon. So there could be some problems in your home, in your house. There can be things breaking down. Be aware of this. And the Jupiter, Venus, Sun are in the 6th house from the moon. As a matter of fact, the moon and Venus are exactly quincunx. Be aware of your health. Be cognizant of healing and what you're eating to be healthier and take care of yourself today. May 26th, the moon is still in Sagittarius. It's going to be, now it's going to be in the nakshatra Purva Ashada, which is the nakshatra of finding the truth. This is what, with everything that's occurring now, with Mars Rahu actually in the 4th house from the moon, this is May 26th, May 25th, the day before and this day, can be attacks on the homeland. So I've been talking about this for a long, long time, that May is the month I see where things are going to get violent and problematic. But let me just say this, that Mars being with Rahu in the 4th house personally, there can be things that are breaking down in your house. Maybe, air conditioning or plumbing, something like that. Be cognizant, be aware, and take care of yourself. May 27th, the moon is in Capricorn today, and it's going to move into the nakshatra Uttara Ashada. Uttara Ashada is a little softer and kinder than Purva, but it's still about finding facts and truth. But being in Capricorn, it's more about government affairs. And the moon is almost conjunct, well, it will be conjunct today with Pluto. And Pluto is major transformational changes. And Pluto can be, issues around betrayal, hurt. It's deep, dark stuff happening today. But Mars and Rahu being in the 3rd house, from the moon, this will mean that you have more willpower, more drive, more ambition. You're getting stronger today. Venus is getting closer to the sun, so this kind of damages relationships to a certain degree, but still, Jupiter will bring optimism somewhat, even though I see so many things being torn down. I don't know, maybe that's me wanting to be optimistic. There's a lot going on, and Moon Pluto, it's a time for intense emotions, very intense. May 28th, the moon is still in Capricorn all day, but it's going to be in the nakshatra now called Shravana. Shravana is the nakshatra that deals with the ear and represents listening and hearing. We have to listen. We can't be doing all the talking today because we're going to learn more by listening. Remember that. Now the Mars Rahu are still in the 3rd house from the moon, which does give us courage, ambition, and drive. And the Sun, Venus, Jupiter are in the 5th house now from the moon, which will actually, yes, this will give us definite creative abilities. But Venus being so close to the sun means relationships are not easy. You got to do more work. You got to be aware of what's going on and work hard to make things work out. May 29th, the moon is in Aquarius, moves into Aquarius today, and it will be in the nakshatra called Dhanishta. Dhanishta is ruled by Mars, so things are really intense. And what I see happening, a lot of intensity is going to revolve around money and the markets. Why? Because Mars, Rahu are in the 2nd house from the moon, dealing with financial matters. Now, this can also deal with some issues and problems around your family, your personal affairs with your family. Be careful what you say. You think before you speak, because chances are you're going to blurt out things you didn't mean to say and hurt a lot of feelings and cause some upsets within the family. So the moon is approaching Saturn, which means a heaviness is coming about from all of this. And the Jupiter, Venus, Sun are in the 4th house from the moon, meaning you might have an urge to decorate, to do something different with your home, maybe even rearrange the furniture or buy things for the house. But Venus is getting close to the conjunction with the sun, which is, this is a combust Venus, meaning relationships are still very difficult to deal with. May 30th, the moon will be in Aquarius in the nakshatra Shatabhishak. Shatabhishak is the sky watcher. People are talking about what's going on in the heavens, in the skies. Astrologically, astronomically, what's going on in space? That's important with this. But the moon is approaching Saturn very tightly. And this means a heaviness, seriousness, even a form. Some of us may feel somewhat depressed about what's going on in the world. Be cognizant, be aware. Again, today is the day to watch your speech, Mars Rahu in the second house. And don't be eating too fast, or be aware of what you're eating. Make sure it's good for you and not toxic. And once again, the Jupiter-Venus, Venus is combust the sun. Still today, relationships are a problem. But Jupiter's picking up a little bit. It's getting some space between the sun. So this could be a good day, really, to look for real estate, to look for a new home, with Jupiter being accentuated by Venus and the sun being accentuated by Jupiter. So this is a good day to look for real estate, home, property. If you're wanting to move, maybe you could find your home around this time. So now we're looking at the very last day of May, May 31st. And we have the moon has just shifted into Pisces. And it's in the nakshatra Purva Bhadrapada. Of course, this is, like I say, this can be where people aren't honest, because it is represented by a man with two faces, being two-faced. And the moon is approaching Neptune. And Neptune can deal with deception, deceit, denials. It can also deal with illusions. So it's not a day to make any decisions sincerely, with the moon tied up with Neptune and in this nakshatra. And we have the moon is getting close to Mars and Rahu. This is a day to lay pretty low and not make decisions. Now we have Venus is tied up with the sun. It's traveling with the sun. It's combust, which represents difficulty with relationships. Now also today, we have Mercury has shifted into Taurus. We have Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus all together in Taurus. Now the sun kind of taints us a little bit, but we have a Saraswati yoga going on. This will be occurring throughout June. So the Saraswati is when you have all three benefics, Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury together in the same sign. And Saraswati is the goddess of learning, of the arts, of music, arts of all kinds, but particularly education and learning. It's a beautiful, beautiful yoga. And it is in the sign of Taurus, which would represent creative talents. Now, I don't like the fact that Venus is so close to the sun, and they're going to be traveling together. So once we get a little bit of leeway between Venus and the sun, this Saraswati yoga will be fantastic. And this will be taking place for the next 2 weeks, because while Venus is at 15 degrees Taurus, it's going to be it's going to be in Taurus, its own sign, which is beautiful. It's too close to the sun. But this Saraswati will be in effect for the next 2 weeks. And it's a good time to take up new studies, learning, taking up any of the arts. Go for it. This is beautiful. I love this yoga. And furthermore, we do have where these 3 planets plus the sun are in the 3rd house from the moon, making creative talents and being good with your hands, even writing. Remember, that's part of the Saraswati yoga. So maybe it's a time for journaling. You'll come up with some beautiful, incredible ideas. And with the moon with Neptune, hey, you'll be out there. The mind is out there being truly creative and inventive. So this wraps up the whole month of May. I hope you enjoyed my dissertations on each day as the moon revolves through the zodiac and how it can affect us and give us clues as to what each day is good for or not good for. So thank you for listening. Remember, you can always find out more information about me by going to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Thank you.